All right, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call a meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation and Treaty 3 territory. My name is Neil Harden. I'm chairing today's panel. With me are Linda Schultz and Richard Whitbread. The assessor today is Travis Gretchen, and the administrative personnel is Fran Picado. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the business assessment role in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act and the City of Winnipeg Charter. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application and will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by council and is independent of it in the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that may be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We'll then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions the applicant may have, then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application be brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information on public news, live stream and recording will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 1, 2, 4, and 10 on our docket today. Ms. Picado, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Travis Gretchen.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Ayrton Neufeld.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, so the first item on today's agenda is 488 Burnell Street. So, Mr. Gretchen, you can begin.
The file number for the property is 24-5130. Roll year is 2025. The address is 488 Burnell Street. The business ID is 18475. We have a total ARV, or annual rental value, of $186,240. And I'm under the understanding that the agent will be asking for confirmation on this property.
Okay. Mr. Neufeld?
Yeah, that is correct. I be asking for confirmation of 3 or 4 today.
Okay. Are any questions from the panel on this one?
None, thanks.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, we will move on to 322 NASA, Mr. Gretchen.
Second property today, file number is 24-5126. The roll year again is 2025. Address is 332 Nassau Street. Business ID is 23436. We have a total annual rental value of $474,600. And again, I'm under the understanding the agent will be asking for confirmation.
All right, Mr. Neufeld?
Yes, the rent we think is still very high, but we've got it at the municipal board, so I'm just asking for confirmation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the panel on that?
None, thanks.
No questions.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to 590 Moray Street. So Mr. Gretchen again.
Third property today is file number 24-5153, roll year 2025. The address 590 Moray Street. Business assessment ID is 33691. And we have a total annual rental value of $465,540. And again, I'm under the understanding the agent will be asking for confirmation.
Okay, Mr. Neufeld.
Yeah, that is correct. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the panel? All right. Our last property then today is 2525 Inkster. I understand this one is being disputed, so Mr. Gretchen, you
Yes.
can begin.
All right, the final property on the docket today, file number is 24-5068. Roll year is 2025. Address is 2525 Inkster Boulevard, and the business assessment ID is 27247. The total annual rental value we have is $944,820. And the total area of premises we have is 96,028 square feet. The base ARV is $709,647. This is a square footage or rate per square foot of $7.39. Adding occupancy costs, we have heat, electricity, and water for the full square footage at $96,028. And the building is partially air conditioned with 29,060 square feet of air conditioning. These provide a total occupancy cost of $235,167. Totaling this with our base ARV, we have a total annual rental value again of $944,820. The property is owner occupied. Below this on my first page, you'll find my rent comparables. So I do have 7 comparables with lease starts ranging from 2012 to 2022. Lease terms from 1 to 15 years. Reported areas approximately 81,000 square feet to 148,000 square feet. And rents ranging from $5.65 per square foot to $16.54 per square foot. So the subject property, 71,000 square feet, was built in 1998. There were 2 additions to this property done in 2005 and 2008. Moving to my second page, the property is located in the northwest quadrant of the city. So there are a few different maps provided here, showing the overall location within the city as well as the street location. Moving to my pages 3 and 4, you will find overhead photos of the property and lot. And then pages 5 and 6 provide exterior and interior photos of the subject property. That concludes my presentation. I do ask the board to confirm the value at $944,820, and I'm now open for questions.
Okay, questions, Mr. Neufeld.
Yeah, thank you. I want to focus on that $16 rent. That kind of stands out for the rest compared to the rest of them. I quickly looked at it. That's a brand new flex warehouse, is it not?
It is not a flex warehouse, but it is new, and it is so there are a few reasons to find a higher rent there. First being that it is the year built was 2021, and then also there is full air conditioning. So that was my... Oh, we got feedback. Again. That's my only comparable where the entirety of the building has full air conditioning. So yeah, that one I will say is a superior quality to the rest of the properties. But when I searched for my comparables, I searched for single tenant, large square footage, high ceiling heights, and these were the entirety of the comparables that that were driven for me.
Okay. Are any of them working on trucks? I know that's the hard one to find, but I'm just curious instead of going through them all one by one.
Yeah.
Or truck repair.
So let me see this. All list here. So 1155 is a trucking warehouse. And then, so our subject property is a mixture of shop as well as supply, like a parts store. So 1777 Ellis is a good example of a comparable for that, being Napa Auto Parts. So those would be my two probably best comparables in terms of trucking. All, as I mentioned, all properties are industrial storage warehouses, singleton.
Okay. The 1770 Ellis, that's closer to Pullo Park, is it not?
Yes. So again, I searched the entirety of Winnipeg. I started by searching just the northwest quadrant. That property does fall in the northwest quadrant of the city, but it is closer to Polo Park. I have two comparables that are outside of the northwest quadrant of the city, being 1001 Regent and 230 Panet.
And then quickly, I just because you called this, I'm looking at 1177. You called it single tenant. It's Napa Auto Parts and Max Paint and Body. I guess that very possible that the same tenant. I guess it looks like two businesses, but
Yeah,
is
according to our records, it's one tenant. So whether that's just a different signage or a different kind of thing they do within the warehouse, I'm not sure, but we have listed as Napa Auto Parts. So
okay. No, that makes sense. And then I will just 230 Panet. You're saying is a similar, not in the area, but similar to the subject.
in terms of my search parameters, yes. So we had our subject property had the original build and the newest edition were 28 foot ceilings. The middle edition done in 2005 was 19 foot ceilings. So Panet had 18 foot ceilings and 30 foot ceilings. And then partial air conditioning, single tenant. Yeah, so I would say once again, industrial storage warehouse. So those were the parameters I used for searching for my comparables.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Okay, Linda, any questions? Or Ms. Schultz?
Yes, just a few questions. So if I look at your comparables, you've got Fife, Omens Creek, Ellis, and Regent, where all of those leases are expired. Do you have any more current information?
These, once again, there was not a lot of comps of this size. So I did open my search parameters to the entire city. I used square footages ranging from 80,000 to 150,000 square feet with recent leases in place. So these leases, aside from Omens Creek, were all between 2019 and 2022. Fife would have been active till 2024, 2022, 2023, 2023. Haggard is still active. Panet is still active, and Haggard is
expired.
2023. So all within the reference date.
Okay. And the one that's closest to this property, do you agree is like 230 Panet? Similar in size, but lower in.
No, 230 Panet would not be the closest. Oh, in terms of size, yes. I thought you were referencing location.
Yeah, different
location,
locations,
yeah, the
similar in
Omens
size.
or the Fife would be the closest. In terms of size, Panet would be the closest in square
Right.
footage, correct?
And those two, so Fife you referenced and also Panet, considerably, well, when you're looking at the rent, 565 for 5 and 604 for Panet. And you're using 739, which I'm assuming is the model rent, right?
739 is the model rent, correct? You'll see when you see my photographs, again on pages, the interior photos, page 5 and 6. This property is a good or superior condition to those properties,
Okay.
which would be a factor for the higher rent. Usually when we have, properties elevating to this high of square footage, you see through economies of scale, the rents are lower. So in this case, the quality and condition is taken into account, which would drive the higher rent. So that would be a prime reference of the property that Mr. Neufeld referenced with the $16 rent. So that is a far superior property, a lot newer build. The build that I have for the subject property again was originally 1998 with 2005 and 2008 additions. So Fife was built in 1979, so an older building. And Panic was built in 1990. So that one is a close build to the subject, but not the same quality.
Have you inspected the Panet or Fife?
I have not inspected
Okay.
the comparable properties.
Okay, but you've inspected the one on Leinster.
I've not physically been into, sorry, just a second. I've not physically been into 2025 or 2525, the subject. But they do offer online, you can do like a virtual tour of the facility.
Okay.
Through Google Maps. I'm not entirely sure how it works if they have to pay for that, but you can kind of how you do street view and you can move down the street. Their subject property allows you to actually go through the store. And I did look in that in a bit of detail just because I'll bring it up when Mr. Neufeld presents as well, but just there was a discrepancy between our photos.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, Mr. Whitbread.
No, I have none, thanks.
Okay, this property basically serves the trucking industry, does it not?
As far as my knowledge is, it is both trucking repair as well as parts and like if you go through most of my photos, so page again 5 and 6, you'll see the bottom right photo. It is like storage racking, and then moving through there's customer service, office space, as well as it appears to be retail or storage for parts.
Yeah, and I think they used to build fire trucks there, but they no longer do so.
Yeah, so if you
they-
go
they
to
move.
page 5, the bottom left is the portion of the building with still their service bays. So that would
Yeah.
have a different finish than the interior parts storage customer service area.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Neufeld. You can begin.
Thank you. Yes, this was the former Fort Garry Fire Trucks. It's Fort Garry Industries now only. They do truck repair, as you mentioned. They moved most of their fire truck off-site. Most of their fire truck building. I'm sure they still service them from time to time here if they need to, but it is again mostly truck repair. There is, and I should have. I'm looking through my pictures. I think the assessors got better ones actually. There is a showroom portion. It's really just a regular kind of old warehouse style. I think the main difference between this and a lot of the comparables that we'll be bringing in that are newer is if you go to my page 2, you can see it's built in 2 sections. And one of the sections is not the most efficient way style. I mean, the right section's a bit better because it's mostly square. You'd have a good clear span. The left section there has it's one build, but in 3 different sections of itself, almost a T shape. That said, that becomes a harder yield and harder to get to be moving trucks around inside. It's big enough that it works because they do have bays coming in and out, but it's would be a fair bit different than my comparables, which I brought forward. One being the Amazon warehouse, and the other, I believe, is Canada Goose. I wasn't sure on the exact tenant, but it's either Canada Goose or the City Archives in 1450 Mountain. So I've got 11 Plymouth, which is superior at 650. You've got the market is really looking for on my page 4. This type of property. Right now, warehousing is it's slowing down today, but in our reference period, it was still heating up. And from COVID on till this reference period is what the market was really looking for. And I think what the model was doing was it was taking a lot of these industrial sites like warehousing, and it was basically skewing the average. For newer properties, I think they're probably closer. And newer flex warehouse properties, they're probably getting really close to their assessments. But what's happening is older, dirty industrials like the subject are kind of getting left behind on that. And that's the nature of mass appraisal. So that's to be expected somewhat. But the difference being we're at 550. I was focusing on the assessor's two rents. I like 1155. It's somewhat, it's within our range. Same with 230 Panet. 1177 Ellis I focused on because it is, it's not a retail building, but it's closer to a retail area. It is a Napa Auto Parts. So they do benefit from having that brand recognition in that area. I would argue 80 Haggart really is not comparable. I just quickly looked at it. It's a fresh, brand new flex warehouse, and the $16 seems high even with that, with those new style and quality. But again, 230 Panet, it's an Ashley Furniture Warehouse. It has a lot of similarities to ours in that it was older construction and they added parts, and I don't hate it as a comp for the subject. The difference being that the quality of the space where you're working on trucks you can see, the assessor might have better pictures if you go through his page 5. Very, very basic construction with the huge docks, the huge doors for to get the trucks in. Generally, you're not repurposing properties like that portion, at least. The warehousing is probably fine to be used for other purposes, but when you're working on trucks, you get oil spills and things of that nature. So there is, it's not on the environmental registry, but if you're trying to store Amazon goods in there at one point, which is kind of what the whole market was doing for now. We'll see what happens going forward with all the new tariffs and everything. But that essentially was what was strengthening in our market. I don't think you really going to want to put clothing and the things of that nature in something that used to be a truck bay. We haven't seen it, and I think it's not likely. So again, I was back to my rents. I picked two that were within the rate size range. One of them's higher, one of them's lower. And then my pictures are very old. So I do think the assessor did bring forward better pictures, and that's fair. But again, 550. I think makes a lot of sense as a rent. This property for the realty was completely missed. It was an error done by Colliers. I know Rocky always blames me for everything when I'm not here, but I'm blaming him for that one. It was just, it was a miss. We get so many that come through that this one didn't make it in time. So we would have loved to appeal that realty. It jumped, I think, about 7.5 to 10 million. We will be looking at it in 2026 for sure, but we do have the business tax in front of us, and you'll note that the 550 is very close to the 2023 assessment. I think you could argue that it went a bit higher, but we're using the same rent, and I guess the costs change a bit to get it up a little bit. But again, I say that you could argue it went a bit higher, but this is not going as high as the rest of the market for industrial, and that's just, I think, the real problem here is that industrial got better. These industrials didn't. It's almost a displacement. There's a lot more being built because there's a lot more need for it. But these older, lower quality properties are not getting the benefit of higher quality properties being built down the street. They're staying the same. Sometimes they go down. But even though the market as a whole is going up, it's just leaving behind poorer buildings. So my number and that was the argument for it, and my number is 763,320, and I didn't check if that was roundable by 12. So any way it's rounded, it's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, it is rounded.
Yeah, it is rounded, but roundable.
By 12 there.
Yeah, sometimes I get it right, and sometimes I don't.
Okay. Questions, Mr. Gretchen?
Yeah, I do have a few. So, you addressed the photos. I was just gonna say, like, I'm not sure as to the date of the photos that were taken, but I did find it as a bit of a misrepresentation, just in the sense that this property has had 2 additions, and the one portion is the service bay, but a lot of the portion is storage warehouse, slash retail parts. So the photos, or the updated photos, as well as the virtual tour, do provide, it is a clean space. It is, has those high ceiling heights, and is, multi-use, large storage warehouse. So when I was looking through your comparables, I did notice that they range in terms of flex warehouse, distribution warehouse, manufacturing, heavy and light, as well as storage warehouses. Is there a reason why you did not stick to just storage warehouses for your comparables?
First of all, I do want to respond to the photos. I agree that your photos do show it a little better. However, they don't have the inside of the truck bays. You've got the outside of the truck bays. So yes, there's clean warehousing here, but that's not the entire picture. Mine are, you're right, the pictures I have are when they put that in, to be honest. So we actually do, mine are a bit dated, but they're, just with poor lighting on the second too. But if you look at all of our pictures together, you do get a snapshot of what's the entire building is. But then in terms of my rents, we always, for industrial properties, we just put our entire thing through. All the rents that we kind of rely on go into our study. There's other ones, and there's tables, but these are generally ones that fit with a lot of the properties we have. We're not usually representing the I don't know if you call them AAA, but the superior investment grade industrial is not something that Collier's tax represents all the time. A lot of the ones we're bringing in are lower quality, like this, of this nature. So we do take all the rents that we see are suitable for similar properties, and they're all put into a table together. When I made this brief, my kind of concept was to look at similar sizes. And I would argue that both of these, the 2 that I focused on, 1450 and the Amazon at a Plymouth, are superior quality. I think you could argue somewhat that Plymouth, as you can see, is close to the warehousing portion. So about half of this is somewhat close to that 650 rent. But then you've got the lower quality area in the truck bays. Then so I looked at that, and it's also Amazon too. So you got to figure Amazon's, they are using higher quality space. They put money into it, and they repurposed it. So I think they moved out by now. I don't know what they're doing with that site, but they have a lease that's still in place. And then the other one being 1450 Mountain, which I've been through. Wish I had pictures of the inside, but it's basically the same. So there you will see buildings, or not flex warehouses, but warehousing like this that do somewhat fit half of this site. And they're not getting $7.06, I think, is mostly the point. But they do. Sorry, one sec. I guess, yeah. I mean, to answer your question, we don't. We just basically provide all of our industrial rents when we can, and I focused on these 2. Amazon being better quality, and Mountain being about the same, but it's showing that the market doesn't necessarily always go much higher.
Yeah, as I mentioned, there were a number of mixture of storage warehouse, flex warehouse, distribution, as well as manufacturing. So one of the reasons I bring it up is just, if you would agree, manufacturing warehouses generally will achieve a lower rent. Would you say that's accurate?
Lower rent than truck bays or than what
Yeah, then
exactly?
storage warehouses.
Yeah, I mean, clean storage warehouses might get a better rent, sure. But again, this is a mixed property of warehousing and truck repair. So I think that the 550 falls right into that range of what we're looking at. You're not going to see a lot of large truck repairs, which is why I didn't mind focusing on your Fife and Panet properties. I know Panet's a warehousing, but like we said, similar age.
I just wanted to address that your comparables have, you have a $1.75.
Oh yeah, no, those would,
two-
yeah,
the
that
$3
$1.75 unheated. Yeah, no, again, some of these aren't even comparable at all. Like I said, these go forward. 1821 Wellington, that's a lot larger. It's not uncomparable, but it's not. We're not applying $2 is I think the point. That's why we went to 550 within these in the higher end of this range, honestly. But that's to represent the warehousing space, more or less.
Okay, and then one other regarding your comps. I'm just curious how you go about selecting the ones from the flex warehouse. I looked into a few of them. 1555 St. James and 1347 Border each have 23 and 24 units. I found rents ranging from $7 to $12.50 for St. James, and 1347 between $5.50 and $9. The largest unit in 1347 Borders 9,000 square feet and has a rent of $7.41. So when we look at that compared to the 1347 that you're using with only 4,500 square feet. So I'm just curious why you chose the smaller unit.
What is the age on the older one, on the bigger ones you got?
What do you mean the age?
The occupancy date? One of those leases.
I don't have the
Yeah, no, I when I remember when I'm going through Border, I was going through ones that were closer to our reference date. They're I mean, neither of them are comparable to our subject, so I don't think that's really relevant today. But you're saying we didn't pick a $9 rent in Border, but we chose the 650s. Is that what you're getting at?
well, just that there's a range. There's a range between what was it? 550 and $9. And same with the other range 7 and 1250. Both that you selected at the bottom of the scale. I mean, once again, these aren't comparable at all in terms of size or the fact that they're both flex warehouses as opposed to storage warehouses. But I just went through them because you included them in your comps. So that's kind of what threw me for a loop.
Yeah, again, we have properties that are more closer to properties like those ones. That's not what we're dealing with today. Like I said, we do these are the same industrial tables I use for pretty much in every industrial property that we brought in this year. They are not being relied upon for today at all. Why the $9 ones, I guess, which just don't have. I'm not exactly sure what we're speaking of, but I would imagine that they don't have much similarity to anything else that we're representing, so we didn't include them.
Okay, that concludes my question. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, Mr. Whitbread?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Ms. Schultz?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, and I have no questions that haven't been asked and answered, so thank you very much. I guess we've now heard all the items on today's agenda, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen, for your capable presentations again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Mr. Neufeld. Everyone have a good day.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.